Hey there, YouTube. It's Wes Spencer coming back at you again. In today's video, we're going to cover the 3 critical things that I think Pi needs to be successful. You guys know I've not always been a Pi pumper, so to speak. I'm typically tend to be pretty honest in what I think. Now, I am definitely here to see Pi succeed. I hope it succeeds, but I have nothing to gain, win, or lose out of it. So I try to be pretty unbiased. So stay tuned. Coming right up, I'm going to cover my 3 big things. You can't miss it. Hey guys, I've been thinking about this a lot this week and wanted to just cover the 3 critical things that I think are important. And before I get to those, will you do something for me? Hit the like, hit the subscribe. That always means a ton to me, and I am absolutely all about you guys and growing content around what you want to hear. So without further delay, the number 1 thing that must happen, and maybe this will seem a little obvious to you, but it is this. They need to continue to have an active user base. What needs to not happen is a huge drop off in users, and then Pi finally goes live and people have new phones, or they've turned off the app or turned off notifications and no one knows about it. And now they're clawing and scraping to try to get back to where they were. Because here is the thing, I have been around a whole lot of cryptos in my day, and there's one thing that Pi has that 99% of every other cryptocurrency is begging for, and that is this: a user base, a solid, growing, avid user base. You only have to look at my comments, you look at the Facebook groups, you look at all of the chat around Pi. There are millions of users. I think they're getting close to, if not having surpassed 10 million users. Congratulations, Pi team, that is awesome. You've got to keep that up. It is really important to keep that going. Now, let's be honest. What's keeping that going right now? It is one thing and one thing alone, which is mining. And you guys know in my PiCoinvention video, I had talked about this a little bit about, hey, what is the number where we need to stop mining? And I thought, that's the wrong question to ask. In my view, the real question is, how long do we keep mining until the features that are required to drop it? And so this is why, if we drop mining now, we're going to lose a ton of active users. And the first thing I just said, the most important piece, is have an active user base. So continue to keep mining going. Even if it's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit, there's got to be something to keep people incentivized to stay in the system. If you lose users, you lose the ability to get your greatest advantage back. You're going to have to claw and scrape to get those users back. So that is by far the number 1 most important thing. Keep an active user base. After we have additional features and there's a marketplace involved, then you can definitely scale back or eliminate mining altogether if that's the direction that you want to go. But for now, we've got to keep an active user base. And 2, that kind of pivots directly into the second thing, which is this: the Pi platform needs to build a marketplace and a community that truly has value that goes beyond just mining. I mean, most people that are in Pi right now are speculative. They're like, hey, I think Pi is going to be worth a lot of money, and I'm definitely in it for that purpose. But what actually adds to that? Well, there's got to be a purpose behind it. You think about Bitcoin, for example. It's a great store of value. It's become an asset more than anything else. You think about Ethereum and what it does with smart contracts. Well, what's going to drive Pi? You see some perspectives of that in the white paper. One of the big perspectives around Pi is this idea of it's going to be a marketplace. Whether it comes out as sort of like an eBay or a Facebook marketplace or whatever it may be, there needs to be a way that brings buyers and sellers together with a universal currency, which would be Pi, to be able to buy and transact in the platform. So that's got to happen, and it's got to happen in a clean, really solid user interface that truly brings users together and gives a reason to have Pi and keep Pi and trade Pi. That's what will generate the demand. And so that's the second most critical piece, and it's a super quick one for me. It's just that they've got to build an active marketplace or a community involved where there is some kind of transactions and some kind of value being traded inside the platform. That will then supersede the value of just mining Pi and build a community around it. And I would say I think Pi's done a solid job, an admirable job of building a great platform with millions and millions of users. So let's seize on that and give them a reason to have that community and then expand that community into maybe 10, 50 million more users. And the third thing, in the US, we have a statement, we have a saying, which is this: the elephant in the room. That's sort of like the big looming question that we all know is here and we don't want to talk about. And it's this: what do we do with all of that extra Pi hanging around? So there are probably millions of fraudulent Pi that have been spun up by bots, especially in the early days. Those have got to be addressed. Every time you have fraudulent Pi in the system from non-real users, it breaks the ecosystem and it adds what we call dilution into a currency that reduces its value. I mean, think about it. If I'm the only one that has a dollar bill and it happens to be worth something, I could do a lot with that dollar. But if I give a billion people a copy of that dollar bill, all in the same value, so to speak, it's been diluted. It's worth a lot less. It takes a lot more of those dollars to buy the same thing. And so this is the problem that Pi has right now. They've got to find those fraudulent accounts. They've got to truly burn them down and get back to as close as they can to actual users with actual Pi. If we have millions and millions of Pi hanging around, and I'm not necessarily saying that's true, but I personally think it is in the millions of Pi that's hanging around fraudulently, that is going to cause a problem in the economy of Pi and drive the price down. This video, guys, is not about my speculative ideas and what I think the price of Pi is going to be in the future. I'm not ready to cover all of that. I don't think any of us have a true answer on what we think exactly Pi will be worth. We have some ideas, but we don't know exactly yet. And so I think one of the things that we need to do is make sure we have a plan to burn down all the fraudulent Pi that exists. And then out of that, the other piece of that third thing that needs to happen to make Pi successful is this: there needs to be some way to protect a huge sell-off. And so if wallets were to come out right away and exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken or Voyager spin up that allow people to then go and sell their Pi, that's a really good thing. But what we need to watch out for is a huge sell-off that would just tank the currency itself. And so let's just say Pi started at $1 to keep numbers really even. And all of a sudden there's a huge sell-off, especially from fraudulent Pi. It could tank the price down to maybe pennies or even less than that. And we don't want that to happen. The way we avoid that is we have a controlled group of release of wallets and release of people to get access to their Pi, so that then we can control how it may be moved off and sold into other platforms. We can kind of see what the price volatility is going to be and what's going to happen with all of it. So my friends, those are the three things, short and simple, that I think Pi needs to have in order to truly succeed. Number one, an active user base. We've got to maintain that. Number two, a community around the entire ecosystem that's not based just purely upon speculative mining. And the third thing is we've got to address the Pi itself, the fraudulent Pi that's hovering, and then how we reduce and we slowly trickle out the number of people that have wallets that then have access to their Pi and other third-party systems where they might buy and sell, so that we can limit a huge sell-off. Those are the three big things that I can think of right now, but those are not the only answers. I'd love to hear back from you guys. Tell me what you think. Agree, disagree? Other than those three, is there something else that's a big deal that you guys would point to that you think we need to address? I am just one comment away from you. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear what you think is critical for Pi to succeed. And while you're at it, if you're gonna leave a comment, hit the like button for me. It's super easy, just one click, that's all it takes. And I would love it if you subscribe so you can stay fresh with me, with all the new content we have coming out. Hey guys, thank you so much. Make it a great day. I hope you are awesome.